credit for my favorite writing quote goes to Ernest Hemingway. Write drunk, edit sober. Excellent advice, and exactly why I'm not an editor. Instead, I am Evo Terra, and this is the Books and Beer Hangout.
Welcome to another episode of the Books and Beer Hangout. Today we are going to discuss book editing, something that every writer thinks they can do, and they are wrong. Let me introduce our first of our two fantastic guests, Mrs. Oh, hello. Let me go. I'll edit that later. This is Deborah Bancroft. Say hi.
Hello, I'm Deb Bancroft. I'm a book editor, and I am drinking. See, I'm the first. I don't drink alcohol, so what I've got here is a Mexican Coca-Cola, Mexican Coke, which is apparently vastly different because it uses cane sugar instead of high fructose. Yeah, I don't know. It looked funky, so that's what I'm drinking.
Henche El Mexico. So yeah, those are fantastic. So while the rest of us are getting a little buzz going, you can get a sugar high.
There you go.
Fantastic. All right, Karen.
I'm Karen Conlin, and I am drinking Delirium Nocturnum.
Holy cow, nice choice.
Well, I wanted the monks suffer serious sugar rush while in Barbados, and they didn't have it. So I had to pick blindly, and the bottle was too cool because it's got a pink elephant on it. So
yeah, there's a reason why it has a pink elephant on it.
Well, Delirium Tremens is the partner to it, and I passed on that one because this one said fruit and sugar on the little card at the liquor store. So there it is.
You're going to get a lot more entertaining as this session goes on. So drink up.
All right, Jeff. How about you?
All right, so I am drinking something I don't know how to pronounce. Amalise Espresso Stout, which is from Holland, and is a 9.5 ABV espresso stout, and is fantastic.
No idea what that means.
As I plow through this, I'm probably going to get more entertaining as well.
And I'll follow up, backing up there, Jeffrey. This is the oaked, aged espresso Yeti. So sounds like great beers. Well, at least 3 great beers and one. Sounds like Deb's already drunk, but she doesn't need to.
I'm gonna mute.
All right, that ends the beer segment of the show. Let's get into the books. Jeff, you want to lead us off?
I would be happy to. So let's start off at ground zero. What are the different types of editing out there? It's not all the same, so let's get our terms out. Deb, do you want to start?
Sure. Well, Karen and I have been having this long and really fascinating, I'm sure, to anyone else, conversation about the differences between editing in a publishing house and editing in the wild, which is where we work. In a publishing house, your book is going to go through 4 or 5 different editing phases, and there are probably 4 or 5 different editors who are going to see it. And it starts from the more general development, where if maybe you've got lots of stuff but you don't know how to put it into a book, the development editor is going to help you with that. Then once you've got a manuscript that's kind of a mess, you would go to the substantive editor. And that's the person who takes big chunks and moves them around and makes it kind of gel. Okay. And then we're getting more and more specific, right? So big chunks of junk are dropping off of the thing, and it's getting more refined as we go along. The copy editor, which is what Karen's specialty is going line by line and really ironing out the sentences and paragraphs and making them all really smooth, making sure the ideas are clear, making some improvements to the way that the words you're using, the flow of things. In fiction, a good ear for conversation, character, and that's really important. And then, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, this is just interesting to me because, first, the names for these terms I've realized are not standard in any way. They're sort of general vagaries. Like development editor, I'd always heard as somebody who was going to take sort of after the copy editor and is really going to help improve the story. You put that way at the beginning.
No. Oh, yeah.
So
No.
I'm very interested in these levels. I'm kind of concerned that they go all the way down.
No, I'm almost done.
Oh, okay. And the other thing you haven't said is what specifically you do, which form of these. So make sure you mention that as you pass that on.
I will. I would put myself sort of in between. I would call myself sort of a content editor or a stylistic editor, where somewhat substantive, kind of big chunks moving around, but not, But I would put myself basically a little in Karen's camp as well, where I'm working with the sound of it, the flow, how the language works. I'm also looking at, if you've got a character in one half of the book that's got blue eyes and second half of the book has got brown eyes, I'm going to pick up on stuff like that. But both of us, I think, are also the last thing, which is proofreader. And that's the person who catches the apostrophes. These are the people who know. This is the person who knows when you have a comma before the quotation mark and when you have a period before the quotation mark. Little stuff like that.
Okay, so now, Karen, which of those levels do you focus? It's more the copy editing, correct? You talked about first, am I correct? And B,
yes.
Tell me a little bit about doing that for freelancers.
Yeah, she is absolutely correct that is my forte, would be copy editing and proofreading. I do some of the big stuff. The book that I most recently worked on, which was a nonfiction piece, it was actually essays of I hesitate to use the word, but I will, a spiritual nature. Some of them just were in the wrong place. And stuff like that, I'm going to catch. Yeah, very good, very good. Stuff like that I'm going to catch, but don't give me your novel and ask me to critique your characterization, because not me. That's Deb. If you want me to make sure that all of your commas and your periods are in the right place and all of your words are spelled right, because no spell checker in the world is going to catch it, yes, I'm the one you want to talk to.
Excellent segue point for us here, and Karen, I'll stick with you for a moment. There is more than one author out there right now who says, "I can handle this. I know how to write. I know how to read. I can edit my own stuff." Can an author, should an author edit his or her own work?
Never, ever, ever, ever edit your own.
I'm just saying that because you'd be out of a job. I just get rid of the red and green squigglies in Word, and I'm good.
Well,
can I jump in? I would put in that no one can edit their own work. It's not just these inept writers who can't do it. If I wrote a book, I would give it to Karen. When I thought I was done, I would give it to Karen. I would absolutely not, publish a book that I had written without giving it to another editor.
Right.
Nobody can edit their own things.
Even the best grammar checker and spell checker in the world is going to miss stuff, because it's only as good as the programmers who coded it. And programmers generally aren't copy editors and proofreaders, and they're going to miss stuff. It's even the obvious things like the homophones and the variations on your, and your. And if you're in the UK, there's also your, Y-O-R-E. We don't worry about what they do. That kind of stuff is going to slip through, because if you spell it right, that's lovely. The spell checker will go, yes,
the spell checker, yeah.
It's not the right word.
Okay, what are your specific skills that make you better at this than, say, my friends? Or maybe I've got a friend who's an English teacher. What are you bringing to the table that makes you, other than studying yours globally on your weekends, makes you so good at this?
You're asking me, Jeff?
Either one of you.
Okay. Well, I will leap ahead, and then Deborah can interrupt me, because we work really well that way.
But you're also unfailingly polite, so I want to see an editor smackdown before the end.
You want to see a cat fight before this? I'll go get one of the cats, and I'll throw it at the screen, and we'll see what happens. I was an English major in college, yes. I taught language arts, solid, for 1 year. after I graduated to 7th and 8th graders, so that right there was a challenge. And then I ended up in the editorial field. So I have over 20 years of editorial experience, most of which was copy editing and proofreading. My forte is more technical editing than fiction editing. I did a lot of user manuals for computers and computer programs, and I spent over 10 years at, can I name names? I spent 10 years at TSR. So I had to know game systems. I had to know rules. I had to know where to find the rules. You get really good at realizing what's important and what's not. Yeah. And no English major fresh out of college is going to have that. They just won't.
For me, I think it's you know, when you're writing, there's that famous thing where you have to tell your inner editor to shut up, and because your inner editor is saying, "Oh, is that right? I don't know if that's right. Maybe we should go look that up." I'm the one who goes and looks it up. So all the time that you've been telling your inner editor to shut up, I have been telling my inner editor to go forth and be as picky and you know, it's the minutia of things. But it's not just that. It's I'm used to reading things in a certain way that will help me. I'm thinking about things that happened the chapter before. I'm thinking about story, but I'm also looking at, you know, the structure of this. You know, there's a lot of structural stuff that kind of goes down. And having been a professional writer and editor for 16 years, I've seen a lot of stuff. And there are things that just kind of click automatically. There's the cat. That a writer has different skills, very different skills, wonderful skills that I write, but that's not my main thing. It's just a very different skill.
Well, so you've both talked, a lot about your skills, and I think you're obviously making a great case for why you're fantastic editors. But for the people out there who are perhaps trying to decide who they want to edit, and you're two people, you can't edit everyone listening to our show's books. Assuming they want to go with someone else out there, how should an author go about determining if an editor they wish to work with is actually right for them or not? Deb, do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, I think the first thing is, just because you send an email to an editor and ask about their rates doesn't mean you're locked into that editor. You can ask everybody about their rates. I think there's sort of this, there's this fear of, I've got this wonderful book and I love it so much, and am I going to hand it to some stranger that I don't know very much about? I don't know what that person's going to do to it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to back out those changes if I hate them. And that's almost never what the process is. Send an email, say, I'd like to hear more about what you do, and here's what I'm working on, and start talking. Because as you can hear, editors are really, we're wordy people, yeah. And we like to talk. My motto is, if you don't love your editor, you need a new editor. There is somebody for everybody. Right. You might love your cranky editor, and someone else would just not, that's not the person for them.
Sure. So, Karen, a question for you. Is it okay for authors to ask for references, samples? Does any of that matter? Would you even know?
Absolutely it matters, and absolutely they can ask. Sometimes it's hard to know what to send them. Especially in my case, a lot of the stuff that I worked on, I either don't have anymore because it was under an NDA and I wasn't allowed to take it, or it's so out of date it doesn't matter anymore, unless it's to somebody who's a collector who goes, oh my God, you worked on X, I would kill to have a copy of it. That doesn't happen a whole lot. And the thing that I worked on most recently is really a niche market. It's not for everybody, and I wouldn't be comfortable sending it to everybody, because it isn't that I think I did a poor job. I think I did a great job, and the author absolutely loved it. It happens to be someone that I've known for over 15 years. But the odd thing about it was I worked with her very closely to make sure that her voice remained in the book. Not my voice, her voice.
That's it.
And that meant my word choices had to be a little bit different. I know, I can think of one specific example where I added something that I thought really, really helped the paragraph, and she went, "Oh my God, I would never say that. Take it out." And so I did. You know, we talked about it, and she said, "No, I just wouldn't say it." I said, "All right, it's gone," and that was the end of it. There has to be a lot of back and forth with you and your editor, and if either of you is unwilling to do that, there's a problem. You have to be able to talk to them.
So one thing I've been wanting to ask Karen, you said you did editing for TSR?
Yes.
Wow, so old school D&D player here. So I just got to know now, who would win in a fight, a beholder or a gelatinous cube?
Oh, I would bet on the beholder every time just because I think they're cooler. I mean, a gelatinous cube, come on. You know, I'll stick my hand in it and up to my elbow. And
okay, hey.
Yeah, it'll be uncomfortable, but the beholder, hands down.
All right, well, I've got some magic missile questions too, but I'm just going to put those aside.
I'll hold those for later. Yeah.
And so let's go back to the engagement process. Rates. Where does that start? Is it per pound? Here's and you like, how do you? What are the rates, and how long does it take?
Yeah, I'm going to give them the irritating answer, Karen. Okay. The rates vary, and the length of time varies, and a lot of this is actually something that editors talk about a lot. We're very interested in this, whether you charge by the page, by the word, by the hour, and you'll find, you know, I prefer to charge, figure out a set rate, and that's how much it's going to cost.
Okay, and you make that rate generally going off of the size, the word count, the hours. Do you estimate the time?
No, because I stink at time, and I already know that, so that's why I don't charge by the hour. I do. So she's laughing her head off over there. It's true. I go by word count, but I'll set it based on what the author wants me to do. Some people say, do not touch anything, just fix errors. So if if there is a sentence that I'm sitting there thinking, I would not leave this sentence, they've said just to fix errors, then just fixing errors.
Okay, so given how you're kind of bobbing and weaving around this topic, I'm going to try to really give you one that won't be able to answer. Is there sort of a range? I've got a novel. I'd like to have you do some editing work on it. Are we talking, $100 to $500, $500 to $1,000, $10,000? I need to send you a car. How much is this?
I was thinking about this because I figured that would come up, and looking back over work that I've done, I would say for a novel, it's probably going to run you about $1,500.
Aaron, same series of ridiculous questions to you.
I work it pretty much the same way Deborah does. As she said, we talk about this a lot, and she's not the only editor I talk about it with. It's a common topic of conversation because it's such a pain to have to figure out how to charge. I charge by the page. A page is defined as 250 words. That's the industry standard. She's nodding. See, I'm not making this up. She knows. And I furthermore break it down by, as she said, what you want me to do to it. If it's going to be what I consider a light edit or just a proofreading, $3 a page. If I'm going to have to do a little more fixing than that, but I'm not having to rewrite you because you don't suck that much, $4 or $4.50 a page. And if it's really horrendous and it's going to end up being more me than you, and you agree to that, $6 a page. So the 1,500 figure comes out about right, I think, for I would say an 80 to 90,000 word novel, probably.
Okay, so a quick segue, since you've read a crazy amount of things. quickly, what is your number one writing peeve from an author? You're reading and you see this and you're just like, oh, what's your number one peeve? Karen.
Parenthetical statements that never end. and I will even give an example. This goes back to my TSR days. I won't name names, but I'll bet people can maybe figure out who it was. I was reading the manuscript. I was reading along on my manuscript, and I got to the bottom of a page, and there was, and now I'm going to use editor terms, the simple subject of a sentence, the fighter. It was something as simple as that, an article and a noun. And I turned the page, and there was an open parenthesis. And the parenthetical statement began, and it filled that page. And I turned the next page, and the parenthetical statement was continuing. And about 2/3 of the way down that page, there was a closed parenthesis and a verb. And at that point, in my reading, in the office, with everyone there, I said out loud, not in my inside voice, in my, oh my God, a car is going to hit you voice, Who did this? And I went back 2 pages, and someone else who had worked with this author before went, you're working with so-and-so, aren't you? And everybody just burst out laughing because it was so obvious that was that person's style. But yeah, that one just drove me crazy. Parentheticals, even now when I see them, I start to twitch because I'm afraid they're not going to stop.
All right, so Deborah, what's your biggest grammar editing?
You want specifically a grammar thing?
Yeah, we're gonna wrap with the what will make you never work with an author again. I just wanted to know if there's something.
Well, see, I'm a big fan of Faulkner, so for me, a parenthetical statement that goes on for 3 pages is awesome. For me, it's the more common things. And it's not that I get upset, you know, I'm perfectly glad to have authors, no really, I'm perfectly glad to have authors not be able to do this stuff because more work for me. But just in life, it's not that hard. I mean, you know.
Your, don't forget the 4th one. The UK people need that.
The your?
Y-O-R-E.
As in days of yore?
As in days of yore, yes.
Okay.
Scary.
You're, there.
That too.
It's people.
That's what he meant at the end of all of those Monty Python skits at the beginning of everything.
Yes.
Yeah. He was complaining about the apostrophe not being there. So,
you know.
Okay. All right. So grammar issues aside, Deb, let's stick with you for a second, and we'll finish up with Karen here. Is there just a common mistake? Not a grammar mistake, whatever else. I'm thinking just in a way they work, in a way you work with authors back and forth that they should just know and not do out of the gate to make their life with an editor that much easier.
When your editor is working on a document, you do not touch the document. Don't touch it. So I like to work very collaboratively. I use Dropbox, and you know, you can see what I'm doing the whole time, but don't edit it. Even if you're fixing something I told you to fix, you just don't touch. That's
solid advice. My CPA says the exact same thing during tax time, except less editing and more. Really, you made up all that income? So Karen, how about you?
That is an excellent one. Yeah, don't touch it while I'm working on it. The other one, which goes back even farther than that to before I start working on it, make sure you send me the right file. It really helps if I get the final version and not 1, 2, or 3 drafts back, and then I'm halfway through it tearing my hair out because it sucks. And
I don't think that's ever happened.
I sent you the wrong one. Oh, well, okay, you're still paying for the work I did.
So it sounds like both of you are saying the exact same thing. Don't be an idiot.
Well,
probably really good advice.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
okay,
let's just wrap it with that here. And you know what? Hold on to your thought there, Deb, because we're going to wrap the show and we'll jump into that in the Books and Beer Hangover.
Yes.
So first off, ladies, thank you very much for joining us here on the Books and Beer Hangout today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Eva.
And thanks to all of you out there watching the show, no matter how it is that you found us. We record the Books and Beer Hangout live every Thursday night at 6 p.m., and it's simulcast live on YouTube Live. You can check it out over there. You can find out information about our guests and lots more past episodes, lots of different things at booksandbeer.com. And for more education and information about how to survive and thrive as a digital author today, please check us out at epublishunum.com. For Jeff Moriarty, I'm Evo Terra. Thanks for watching.